Hello and welcome to 1000 PS TV. Today we're checking out who's currently building the best single-cylinder supermoto on the market. The most powerful one, I can already tell you, once again comes from Mattighofen, and we've had the chance to ride the freshly updated and properly sharpened KTM 690 SMC R. What it's capable of and whether it really hits the supermoto throne, you'll see in the following report. So, a warm welcome from the KTM test event at the Kalte Kuchl in Lower Austria, where 1000 PS was the first European media outlet to test the new KTM 690 SMC R on the road. This roadshow might be history by now, but don't worry, the next opportunity is waiting for you on the 20th and 21st of September at the Roadhouse Brewery in Grafenhausen, Germany. And yes, if you're now quite rightly wondering about my Ducati cap, don't worry, you are indeed in the right video. What I really meant to say is that privately, I ride a Hyper 698 Mono, and deep down, I'm a true Ducatisti. But of course, in my heart, I'm also Austrian. And that's why I'm absolutely thrilled that the lads and lasses from Mattighofen are back after all that chaos. And not just idling, not half-hearted either. No mate, they are properly back. The best example is the revised KTM 690 SMC R with its new aggressive design, modern electronics and more power with less maintenance effort. The only thing that's grown a little is the weight, while the purchase price has remained unchanged. 12,499 euros in Germany and 13,599 euros in Austria. That's what you'll be paying at the counter. The best part is that production in Mattighofen is already in full swing, and the first models should be at dealerships right on time for the autumn season. So let's get straight to the heart of it. The liquid-cooled LC4 single cylinder with 693 cubic capacity. Although the piston, cylinder and displacement have stayed the same, according to KTM, the engine has been reworked by about half. Now you'll have to brace yourselves because the list of changes really packs a punch. New components include the crankcase with a new crankshaft, as well as the alternator and clutch cover. On top of that, a more powerful and more durable anti-hopping clutch from Adler replaces the previous unit. A major change also concerns the oil circuit. A stronger oil pump now delivers more pressure, and at the same time only a single oil filter is needed. The result? Faster oil changes, less mess, and a more direct power delivery. There's also a more robust fuel pump with higher injection pressure. In combination with a more efficient throttle grip, where the rotation angle has been reduced to 65 degrees, this gives even more precise throttle response. The airbox design is new as well, replacing the old secondary air system. Valves and valve springs remain the same, but the timing has been adjusted and the cylinder head reworked. Presumably, this was necessary due to the new, more progressive camshaft, which is likely the main reason for the increase in performance. Completely new as well is the Euro 5 Plus exhaust system. Both the lambda sensor and the hefty catalytic converter are now positioned directly in the header. This makes it easier and cheaper to fit an aftermarket slip-on. Accessory manufacturers now only need to take noise emissions and the monitoring sensor into account. All in all, KTM now claims, despite Euro 5 Plus, 79 horsepower at 8,000 revs and 73 Newton meters of torque at 6,750 revs. and that means it beats Ducati's Mono by 1.5 horsepower and a full 10 Newton meters. On top of that, service intervals have been extended. Oil changes only every 15,000 kilometers, valve clearance checks only after 30,000. Figures that should be particularly interesting for those who ride a lot. There's also plenty of new stuff when it comes to electronics. The 690 SMC R now comes with a 4.2-inch anti-glare TFT color display with a USB-C port and full connectivity, including turn-by-turn navigation. All of it is operated via newly designed switchgear and the same intuitive joystick we already know from the 390 SMC R. 2 riding modes are included as standard, Street and Sport. Both come with cornering ABS and lean angle sensitive traction control, which can also be completely deactivated. On the old models, you could only choose between 2 modes without much room for adjustment. One mode was a bit too tame and limited the power, while the more aggressive fun mode always had the rear ABS switched off. And yes, out on the road or in town, you might still want ABS on and still have fun. Well, that limitation is now gone. With the new electronics, the KTM can be adapted much better to your own riding style. Doesn't matter if you're just cruising relaxed through city traffic or attacking corners with ambition. And the best bit is, it now even remembers your last setting after a restart. On top of that, for an optional price of 399 euros, you can unlock the track mode, which includes a 5-stage anti-wheelie system, launch control, slip regulation, engine drag torque control, throttle response adjustment, as well as Supermoto plus ABS. With that, the ABS remains active but intervenes later, allowing harder braking and the desired sliding of the rear wheel. A quick shifter doesn't come as standard, but can be retrofitted for 349 euros. My clear recommendation though is the all-inclusive KTM Tech Pack for 559 euros. That way you get the quick shifter plus the entire track pack with all the electronic fine-tuning included, and you save yourself 189 euros compared to buying the features individually. In my opinion, the quick shifter is absolutely beyond doubt when it comes to the chassis, geometry and suspension. The steel trellis frame is said to have been improved in overall stiffness and now provides a more direct feedback through the foot pegs and handlebars. At the front, there's a fully adjustable 48mm upside-down fork with 240mm of travel. At the rear, you get a fully adjustable shock absorber with 240mm of travel as well, which even offers both high-speed and low-speed compression adjustment. Both components are specially tuned for Supermoto use, and according to KTM, they should deliver an even better compromise between comfort and performance. The wheelbase of the new KTM measures 1,476 millimeters. Seat height is a lofty 899 millimeters, and the fully fueled weight now stands at 162 kilograms with a 13.3-liter tank. And if you compare the bare data without fuel, the KTM now tips the scales at around 2.5 kilos more than the Ducati hypermotored 698 Mono. Even so, it stays sporty. The 690 rolls on tubeless 17-inch aluminum spoked wheels with a 120/70 at the front and a 160/60 at the rear. And wrapped around them are the brilliant Conti Attack Supermoto 2 tires, which we already enjoyed in the last Supermoto comparison test. Braking is handled up front by a radial Brembo M432 monoblock caliper on a lightweight floating 320mm disc, and at the rear by a Brembo single piston caliper on a 240mm disc. So how does the KTM feel once you're on it? The riding position is sporty and tall, while at the same time very upright and stable thanks to the wide high handlebar. The knee angle stays comfortable, and at the height of 1.75 m, you just about get a secure footing. Add to that details like the grippy seat cover, rubber inserts on the foot pegs, and adjustable brake and clutch levers. Rounding it all off is the new LED headlight with extremely good illumination. Out on the road, it shows that despite the minimal torque loss of half a Newton meter in the lower and mid-range, the 690 actually responds a little better than the earlier Euro 5 models. Of course, the big bore single is still a rough character, but thanks to the mechanical and electronic improvements, it can now be ridden surprisingly smoothly even at low speeds, for example in a 30 zone. Overall, the torque curve feels very linear, and even in street mode, it still responds very directly to the throttle. Switch to Supermoto and it really comes alive. That's when the fun properly kicks in. The quick shifter with blipper works brilliantly when you're riding hard, while at a gentler pace, the hydraulic clutch is pleasing, requiring very little hand strength. Vibrations are naturally noticeable at the bars and pegs due to the design, but with a potent single cylinder that just comes with the territory, and the sound, despite Euro 5+, is still gutsy, yet perfectly acceptable for the neighbors. Another plus is the gearbox. The gears, and now even neutral, slot in flawlessly. Although the transmission as a whole has stayed largely the same, it's clear that some detail improvements have been made successfully. Luckily, I don't have to make the final call today. That's up to my colleagues in the next comparison tests. But compared directly with the Ducati Hypermotored 698 Mono, I'd still say the 690 SMC R has first, more punch from low revs, and second, a noticeable increase in power at medium and higher revs. Out on twisty country roads or steep alpine passes, in my subjective view, the new generation from Mattighofen has reclaimed the Supermoto crown. Congratulations. On the racetrack, however, I'd still give the edge to the 698 Mono, not only because it revs higher and is a bit lighter, but also because it comes straight from the factory with all the electronic toys for the track, slide-by-brake, wheelie control, engine brake control and so on, all included. And on top of that, Ducati Performance offers a special racing kit with a Terminioni full system, an open air filter and special mapping, which pushes the Mono to a mighty 85 horsepower on the tarmac. But very important, of course without road approval, and you really shouldn't even think about riding it in town or on country roads. The fun won't last long. So, to wrap it up with my conclusion, KTM seems to have done everything right with the 690 SMC R. Apart from the small weight increase, it's once again the most powerful road-legal single-cylinder in the world with 97 horsepower, offering more performance, lower maintenance costs and greater durability. Of course, despite all the excitement, the KTM still has to prove itself in everyday use on the road and on the track, no question, but the technical specs and our first riding impressions were already very promising. So promising, in fact, that I seriously considered formatting our cameraman Carlos's memory cards just so I could go out for another ride straight away. And that's it again from us. Thanks for sticking around. What do you think of the new 690 SMC? And if you enjoyed this report, Carlos and I would really appreciate a thumbs up. Stay healthy, take care of yourselves, see you next time. Goodbye.